Hi, I'm Tayte Nickols. I'm a record producer. I'm mainly based in London, but I've come up to California. We're in Santa Monica, Apogee Studios, really cool place, and we've done about 5 tracks over the last 2 weeks. I mainly work with independent grassroots band, and I work on a lot of developing them. Some of my kind of standout artists would be people like Arabella, Dana Luna, Lizzie Taylor. They're all really cool. I'd definitely check them out. I was in a band in Manchester and we were really shit. And we ended up working with some producers and they turned our shit sounding song into quite a good sounding song. And after that I was like, I kind of want to do what those guys are doing instead of being in this rubbish band. So I left the band and I was a student at the time, so I spent all of my student budget on a mixing desk. And then I filled like my 1-bed flat with a mixing console and then started just working with bands. Got an internship, got a loan, built a studio, moved out of Manchester to London, started producing with bigger and bigger artists, won a fancy award. And now here I am in sunny California. When you think about a producer or like an engineer, you know, you imagine something like that. So I didn't really do any research. I went, well, I want to do this, so I need to get something like that. But no, I always like using tactile stuff with my hands and kind of getting involved, and like from going to not knowing anything to having like a full-on mixing console. It was very daunting, but I learned quite a lot quite quickly in the sound of what kind of analog kind of does. So yeah, I try, a project goes really well if there's not a single plugin on Pro Tools, because I've got it there without having to cheat with ones and zeros. I think if you're using anything, the only way you can make it get that thing sound is by like cranking it all the way. So on this console, I've just reset it, but everything was way past, like it was pretty much on max, because I think if you want to hear something do something, you turn the fuck up so you can actually hear it. So yeah, I'm very experimental with recording, and I try and commit everything as I go. So with vocals, we had like a distressor 1176 and like 12 ratio, and just the gain all the way up, and it sounded really cool, and I think I have the confidence to go, that's the sound, so we're going to use that. You know, we can sample drums and quite easily get, you know, a nice kick sound in the box, but if you want something purely unique and individual to that record and to impart like a sound and a vibe, I think it's really important to kind of get stuff which doesn't sound something that you've heard 1,000 times. So I'll do anything. I think my favorite piano miking is like 2 shotgun mics. Like I don't do things like, I try and ignore the book. Yeah, the past 2 weeks I've been here. It's the first time I've ever recorded in California, so it's been an amazing experience just being here. First 3 tracks were with an artist called Scott Clifford. He's really cool. He kind of just like, he comes in with ideas and we just finish it and write it in the studio. So we had like 2 days a track. Really fun, because like everything here just sounds incredible. So like just using the board and kind of pushing it as hard as I can get it to go sounds great, and the piano sounds, it just all sounds so good. So it was really easy, because I didn't feel like I was kind of fighting anything, which normally happens when you're at kind of lower end facilities. You're kind of having to fight quite hard just to get something sounding passable, and there's not been any of that. But he's been really cool. Like we wrote a song in the session as well, and yeah, it's just been really like fun experience with him, because it's like, I think it's his first time in like a studio with like a huge live room as well. So it was good using the space and like recording acoustic guitar just in the middle of the room. It just sounded like the ambience was just really special. And then I did 2 tracks with Arabella, and she's a really cool Canadian artist. And I mean, that's the first time I've done drums, and it sounded like so good off, I think 4 mics. We had just kick, snare and overheads, and I probably would have been happy with that, but I already mic'd everything else up, so I tried it, and the room sounds the rooms are so good, and the kits, obviously, everything's just been tuned and it all sounds good. It just feels really easy. It's probably the easiest way to describe it. She's kind of more rock, so again, we're kind of just driving everything quite hot and keeping things like cool. We did it all in about, was it 2 days a track? So we've been here for, 10 days, and it's just been really nice. Just really chill, and everyone's so lovely. So the first time I worked with Symphony MKII, I think was in Abbey Road, the Gatehouse, and I think they've got 2 there. I did notice that everything just sounded very just kind of no compromising the sounds. I normally don't like sending audio out through conversion. So if I'm sending like a reverb send, I'd normally try and go through the desk because I want it to kind of stay analog. And like with the Apogee, I don't really mind it because I know it's not really compromising it. Normally when I'm using kind of like more mid-tier conversion, I try and keep all the sends in the box, out of the box. But with your kind of stuff, it's so like, I just know I don't have to really worry about that kind of thing. And it leaves me to not have to deal with everything I want to do to degrade the sound and distort it. That's my decision, but I don't want a converter to be doing that. And it's not, and that's just nice. It's something you don't have to think about, which is what it should be. It should just be an invisible box helping you out. And then here it just sounds like, again, it's just it works so flawlessly when I've been here as well, and we've been really pushing it quite hard. So our home setup is, so we've got like it's the same mixing desk I grew up on actually. So we've got that as like a temporary setup. So basically it's just the console, all the outputs on the console. We've set the console up basically like a load of preamps, so it's just direct into the Symphony. So basically it's just, it's just going straight out of the preamp into the special edition, and then straight out of there into like my headphone amps and my converters and my monitor mixers and stuff. Most of the studios I use seem to have them. So if I ever want to do a session with just my laptop without having to go for an external PC or Mac, I've got all my software and everything I use on it, so I can just plug it in and it just kind of works, which is nice. What I wish I kind of learned a bit earlier on was to kind of trust myself and trust my ear. And your ear is going to be really bad at the start. Like you're going to not know what's good and what's bad, but if you feel like it's good, you kind of should just go on your first instinct. I think committing a lot more. I used to just take DIs and then reamp that when I was mixing, and it was just like, there was no sound to the record and stuff. So I think when you're starting out, just have a bit more confidence and faith in your abilities and stuff. There's a reason you want to do this, so you should have an inherent good ear, if you will. So if something sounds good and you like it and you push it harder and it's like it's distorting quite a lot, or I'm over compressing it, but I do like the sound, just commit with it, because that's what's working for you, and that's how you create your sound as a producer or an engineer, and that's what you get hired for. You don't get hired for doing everything safely.